Good morning, everybody. This is Mike Vacchi for PrincetonTrader.com with your Friday morning pre-market webcast. Okay, daily chart of the ES, and let's talk about yesterday, and let's talk about the day before yesterday, because you've really got to zoom out and look at the big picture. It's, from this day, from the 27th, when we just ripped with no end in sight. It had only been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions since we did the 1530 highs. It feels like longer, especially when you're day trading and you're living tick by tick, but it really only been 5 sessions. And what I have told people, if you followed the webcast for a long time, or if you follow us, in the chat rooms and everything, there's always one day in any corrective move, whether that's a correction off a low or a correction off a high, there's always one day that scares you to death that you're wrong for trying to catch the turn. And it sure feels like Wednesday was that day. It got me out of a short. And at the end of the day, it was, what I talked about yesterday morning was I got out at 16 because I didn't want to ride the 8 handles up to 24. I didn't want to take that kind of heat. Well, we went and did 24. 24 ended up being our upper volatility level yesterday that we put out in the chat room. We put out for our subscribers, and we did 24 half. And then they turned out the lights. I mean, there's really no other way to explain it. Does this mean the Bears are in control? No. What it means is the Bears need to follow through now. They need to push. They absolutely must push. And they can't just push a little. They're going to have to come in and they're going to have to break 81.75. They don't have to do it today, but they need to have red days down there through 81.75 to make a lower low. Otherwise, what would happen is you would get a higher low. And yes, there's a double top at 24 half, but if we get a higher low in this area and a green day, chances are we'll come back up to test that. And if we go back up to 24 half a third time, it may go through, which is very similar to what we saw intraday on Wednesday. Remember, we were talking about the 1497 level, hitting it again and again and again, and finally it squirted through and ran 20 handles. So I expect that key 97 level to get tested probably today. We have a triple pivot area from 1506 half to 1508. Okay, and that level right now in the moment is trying to be resistance. Okay, here's a 5-minute chart. Here's where we are now. 1503 coming up, and in this triple area, 1506 half to 1508, triple pivot area. If this holds and we break through 1503, at that point I would fully expect that we test the 1497, 1498 level. And if that breaks, we'll have to see. But if the bulls go too fast, then it sets up a dip scenario. So if we get a big move down off the open, I think you'll see the dip buyers come in and try to come up and make another lower high. But that just turns into a stair step on a 5-minute chart. If we rally off the open, and come up to test, say, the 1509 level, which has been key, or the 1513 level, which has been critical, I think that sets up a day short situation that you can look for a failure and back down to retest the 1503 area. But we're kind of in wait and see mode. We did the 1503 quarters. We're trading 1505.75. 1507 half is trying to be resistance, and we're going to have to see how it plays out. But, I told you guys yesterday we were trading 1516.75, and, whether the sequester is reality or fiction, whether the GDP hit because the sequester is reality or fiction, it's definitely going to be quite a shock to Main Street America. Okay, that is going to see some very ugly headlines and some very ugly mongering on TV, and that will affect retail sales. That will affect consumer confidence. That's going to affect things, and That effect, I would argue, is not priced in at 1516. It's not priced in at 1506. It certainly wasn't priced in at 1524, was it? So I think the market is now becoming a little bit leery of whether both sides are going to be able to get together after the first wave of sequester hits. I think the first wave of sequester is presumed. Comes in at midnight, it's in. The question now is, are they going to make a deal to avoid the other waves of this? And I think the market really, right now, is saying they're not really quite sure if they're going to do that. And uncertainty is a sell. So everybody have a fantastic weekend. Mike Vacchi for PrinceTrader.com. I will be out Monday morning with another webcast. Trade them well, everybody.